everybody. Hopefully, the fact that y'all got to be home today is a good thing. We're going to keep on track with our weaving and not add anything extra onto y'all's plate. So this is something that we would have done in class anyway. We'll just submit it virtually instead today. So this is the planning sheet that you will see when you go to the assignment. So here's the assignment on Canvas. It is called Materials and Planning Day, and it's got this picture here. So what I want to do in this video is just kind of walk you through how I came up with this and what you guys need to know in order to create your own. So I'll go back to that picture. So there's kind of a lot going on. I do have a template set up so that you guys can just fill in that template instead of like drawing out your own in the exact same way, because I do feel like a template might be a little bit easier to follow. So the first thing on the template, it has the list on last slides linked at the very, very top. That's the list of your recycled materials. So you will need to know for this what kind of recycled materials that you will be using. And then to the bottom left, right in here, you will see that it gives you the instruction to insert an image for a final form that you want, and it is coded for where each material will go. So you can see in my example what that looks like is going to be this general form here. So think about the actual way that you want it to look in the end. And then I've got all of these weird little kind of codes. So we'll get to those in just a little bit. But in general, what you'll need for this first one is that final form. And then the next thing that you guys are going to need to do is to pick a color scheme. So picking a color scheme, if you guys need a refresher on that, this is actually the link that takes you to the color schemes presentation. So you guys can go back through that, figure out what color scheme is going to work for you and your materials. So don't pick like analogous colors if you don't have the recycled materials to make an analogous color scheme. Think about what you have and then fit that into a color scheme. And then I want you to list those materials and tell me what color they are. So for instance, if I'm doing complementary and I know that I'm going to be using a purple shirt, I'm not just going to type in t-shirt. I'm instead going to type in purple t-shirt so that way I can see what the colors I have and what I might need in order to still fit into that color scheme. After you completed that, then you'll think about the two different ways that you are going to try with weaving. You do need to pick at least two types of things that you want to try with weaving. In the presentation that you click on right here, you are going to have the bottom slide, second to bottom slide, is different types of weaving. So there's a little, like all of these are different techniques for weaving that you can use. Tabby weaving is the most common. That's the under, over, under, over. So that's one that people definitely do a lot. And then this Sulmac is probably the second most common just because it's looping around each individual piece. And those are the two that I would recommend the most. Egyptian knot is going to leave you with kind of like more of a, it's almost like more of the skeleton sort of look where you can see each individual piece of your warp in the very end because it's backwards. Spanish lace is a little bit more full. So if you have like really, really short materials, but you want to like loop them around multiple times, Spanish lace looks really nice. You can also interlock materials. So kind of like think of maybe like Harlequin's hair where like one side is pink and one side is blue, kind of like that. You can make one side one color and one side the other for the interlocking. And then slit is going to be the same way, but you could actually like stick your hand through there, or like there's an opening essentially, so that way that could be another like visual thing that you could think about. But anyway, you guys have to pick at least two of these to list in the two types of weaving that you will try. And then down towards the bottom, you're going to make that list of materials of like where you're getting them from. So not only like listing like the color schemes and how they fit into the color schemes, but where you're actually getting them from. So for example, like bringing from home and what you think is at school. That's kind of important so that you don't like immediately assume that like I have blue plastic bags for you. I don't have blue plastic bags for you. So when I see this, I could like comment on it for you and say like, oh, you need to make sure that you're providing these or have these being brought in. But we do have things like yarn or twine, or there are some VHS tapes there, but not enough for the whole entire class. They're, just odds and ends. We have some. So if there's one thing that you want to like reserve, like some cords or something like that, you could use that. And then the last thing on this planning sheet is going to be inserting the shape, and I did say shape, not form, shape of the warp pieces that you want to create. So let's refer back to that materials planning sheet. If I want a shape that kind of like almost sits like a V, like it opens up like a V, then the shape of my warp needs to mimic that. So I would cut my warp to be that general shape. I'll show you another example of this to hopefully explain it a little bit better. So this is a different shape than that straight, like kind of V shape. This kind of goes out at the top, comes in near the top as well, and then goes back out again. So it has more of like an S shape to it. That means that I need to cut my warp to be similar to that. So you can see how in this image, you can see that shape is reflected there. And that causes it to be able to go in. You can't just like pull real tight and hope it goes in. It doesn't do that. You have to make the warp be shaped the way you want your form to end up. Okay, so let's look at this warp or this recycled materials planning one more time. So down at the bottom, there is one last thing I listed out. So after you have everything listed and where you want them from, or where you're getting them from, next to it, I made an abbreviation. So you can see for yellow plastic bag, the abbreviation is YPT or YPD. And then wherever I want the yellow plastic bag, I will draw that in for my final sketch of how I want it to look in the end. So that's where all of those letters come from that I referenced at the beginning. So this is in truth the way that I would want it to look at the end. I would have my yellow yarn at the very top. The next thing would be my black VHS tape. Then the purple old t-shirt, a little bit of the yellow plastic bag, more purple old t-shirt, and then end it again with the black VHS tape. So this is what I am expecting for you guys to submit. Just follow through on that template. And if you like, for instance, like do the template and then like forget to do this, put this part in, you can always fix it, take another picture, upload the new picture instead. The one last thing that is actually going to be on that materials template is going to be towards the bottom. It says picture of your recycled materials and then gives you a whole page. And then it has recycled materials number 2, whole page, and some optional ones if you had like other optional things that you wanted to bring in. This is just to have you guys actually gather these materials and actually have them ready to go. So after you take a picture of this, put them in your backpack or by your backpack, so that way you don't forget to bring them in next time I see you. So this should really set you up so that next time I see you, you will be fully ready to start weaving. Of course, we'll still have to make your warp and things like that, but at least you'll be ready as soon as the warp is ready. Cool. So again, if y'all have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out, send us a Canvas message, and enjoy the rest of your day.